Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Gonzo Tonight Show. Post-election episode here. I'm going to break down what happened on Tuesday night and Wednesday and today and probably what's going to happen days and weeks from now. But real quick, doing another plug, we got the Albania shirts here. Pretty nice. These are actually, these shirts sell better, or have so far have sold better than the actual Gonzo Tonight shirts. I think people have told me just because they're funny. So it says, "Did you know I'm Albanian?" By Zachary Nikolai and every other Albanian. So that's kind of like an inside joke. Most of you will know that joke. For those of you that are joining us recently, you probably won't get that, but a lot of these shirts have sold because it's funny, kind of like a funny inside joke thing. But get your shirts, either Albania or Gonzo Tonight shirts, at teespring.com/stores/Gonzo Tonight. Use the discount code YouTube to get 20% off. That's until the 14th. So you got about 9 days left to do that. Also, again, I want to plug the giveaway and let you guys know that you can win one of these shirts, the Gonzo Tonight shirt or the Albania shirt. I'm going to let you pick, but most likely it'll probably be the Gonzo Tonight shirt. And all you have to do is go to buymeacoffee.com/Gonzo. Donate one coffee, at least one coffee. Each coffee gets you 5 entries and into the contest, into the raffle. So then we'll pick a winner on the 14th as well. Again, 9 more days until the 14th. And thanks to those of you that tuned into the live stream on Tuesday, the election live stream. That was a 5-hour live stream. 45 minutes of it was technical difficulties, but it's all good. It happens. But thanks to those of you that tuned in, we had a total of, I think, 200 viewers overall. And we had some people staying there all night, or at least a majority of the night. Thank you guys for messaging us and keeping us entertained during this mess as we try to keep you entertained. It was a lot of fun, though. We had Zach, Mark, Adam there as well. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. But anyway, today we're going to talk about what happened on Tuesday/Wednesday morning, and then what's happening right now as I'm doing this. Right now it is Thursday evening. By the time you see this, it will be Friday morning, so a lot could have happened in the meantime. But we're just going to do a breakdown of what happened and what we might see in the future here in the near future. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in, and let's just get into it. Okay, got the Gonzo Tonight mug in. About time. And let's just go ahead and talk about, of course, what happened Tuesday night. And it was a rather slow night when it came to the results. A lot of states coming in more slowly than usual, as far as at least like officially claiming the states for one of the candidates. We had Fox News was probably the most like the one news organization that was giving a lot of predictions and a lot of states called, as opposed to CNN, MSNBC, all those other guys. They were being more conservative with it. They were kind of holding back They were holding back predicting a winner for these states until later on in the night. I think they were still in double digits by 10:30 or 11, around there. And Biden was pretty much in the lead pretty much 99% of the time in that lead, with Trump coming up behind him. And as I said last episode, we got to around, I want to say 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and we see the states that are left. We see the Biden winning by a little bit in electoral votes, and Trump kind of behind there. We see the states that are left. It comes down to about 7 states or so that are neck and neck, as they say. And Trump was projected. Most people were looking at this and thinking, okay, Trump has a good lead in Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. He even had a lead in Michigan, and Wisconsin kept going back and forth, but he had a good lead there. And Alaska, obviously. Alaska's kind of a given. Nevada and Arizona were iffy that night, but from what it looked like, Donald Trump could have easily, I mean, we were waiting on Georgia, North Carolina. Those should have been obviously Trump. And Pennsylvania, he had a pretty big lead, I think over 400,000 votes ahead of Biden. Michigan, he was leading for a majority of that night. And at midnight around 1 o'clock, me personally, I cut it off. I said, all right, we're going to bed. I think by tomorrow we'll know more. Wednesday morning comes, and those states still haven't closed yet. Georgia, North Carolina, the votes seem to have stopped. Same with Nevada. They end up giving Arizona to Biden, and then later on, most news organizations took it back. They said it's too early to call. And Michigan and Wisconsin were going blue. And Wisconsin eventually was declared Biden, and Michigan was also declared Biden afterwards. Even though, now, the margin was not far apart, and the votes are not all in. The margins were farther apart in Michigan and Wisconsin than they are in Georgia and North Carolina, yet they still call it for Biden and have not called Georgia or North Carolina for Trump. And I'm looking at, especially Georgia, I'm looking at this and I'm going, you're telling me that the race for Georgia is closer than the race for Florida? Because Georgia, I mean, it's common sense. Georgia's all Trump, okay? Georgia's red as can be. And he did significantly well in Florida, which is more of a swing state. And Georgia was never really a swing state. So I'm confused as to why Biden still keeps gaining votes as of now, and why that margin is closing. This is all the stuff that's going through my head. And now where we're at is Biden with 2, it depends on what news outlet you're looking at, but Biden's at 254, 264. Trump's at 214 still. No Alaska, no Georgia, no North Carolina. Pennsylvania, he's still got a pretty good lead of about 100,000 votes, but those votes are coming in very slowly. They're like at 80%, 86% now. And they were saying those might not come in until Friday. All the other states, though, they're not official. Again, they're not claiming Georgia and North Carolina for Trump. So, everyone's confused. Everyone's like, what's going on? And people on the left are saying, okay, Biden just needs one more state. People on the right now, today, are looking into the voter fraud theories, because it looks like there was a lot of fraud that might be happening. And a lot of people are thinking, especially initially, okay, well, this is just what each side does when they are about to lose or when they lose. It's voter fraud. But when I tell you, I said there would probably be some voter fraud, I didn't think like this. It surprised me how much irregularity we are seeing. And we're just going to get into that. Let me see here. Like I said, though, I want to talk about, like I said last episode, this is happening right now. Since Tuesday night, the media has been manipulating the narrative to make it seem like Biden is very much in the lead. He's very much going to win. And that Trump is really far behind. And that's probably part of the reason, in my opinion, why they haven't given Trump Georgia, North Carolina, or any of those states, because he's still at 214. It looks like he's losing by a lot because Biden's almost at 270. Trump's all the way at 214. But really, if he was given, Georgia, North Carolina, and Alaska, he'd be much closer to 270. And of course, Pennsylvania's still in play, but most people are saying he can probably get it. Not in the mainstream media, obviously, but he could get that and then either Arizona or Nevada and win. He wouldn't need Michigan or Wisconsin. However, we're seeing that Trump was in the lead the election night, and all of a sudden you're seeing, the graph going up, votes are going up, votes are going up. This is Trump up here, this is Biden over here. And then all of a sudden, at one point in the night, it just goes all at once. Apparently, it was in Michigan, 128,000 votes, I want to say, all for Biden. Not a single one for Trump. In Pennsylvania, it closed Trump's lead because there was, I think, 200,000 ballots casted for Biden. And they were only for Biden, meaning that these ballots only had Biden's name filled in, and none of the other candidates down the ballot. Nothing for Senate or House or for any of the local officials. Nothing, just Biden. And Wisconsin too. There was a mail-in ballot dump there, all for Biden. So Trump calls for a recount in Wisconsin and filed a lawsuit in Michigan and Pennsylvania. And he's also, I think they're planning on looking at Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, all the last states that are that we're waiting on. Excuse me, bumping everything today. And it's obviously, there's no denying there's something sketchy going on. To what degree, we're not sure yet. But if you're looking at this data, which most of it is true, there's a lot of misinformation going around, but a lot of it is true. You look at ballots of hundreds of thousands going in all at once to one candidate, and you tell me that that's normal and that's legal, then either you're ignorant or you're just denying it, because that's not normal. The Dems accused Trump of voter fraud last election with zero proof. All hearsay, all based on maybe a phone call here or there, whatever. And turns out it was false. This time, however, we have every hour new information coming in showing that the Democrats are clearly committing voter fraud from the smallest level to maybe even the highest level, which is like hundreds of thousands of ballots going in at once, all the way down to people working the polls throwing out Trump ballots, burning Trump ballots. Some people say those were sample ballots. All those things are being investigated, though. And all this stuff's coming out like right away. And the lawsuits are filed, the recounts are going, and Trump basically has come out and said, we're going to make sure that every legal ballot is counted. Biden and Kamala are saying, we need all the votes to be counted. We need all votes counted. And the Trump team is saying, yes, all legal ballots should be counted, of course, absolutely. And even a lot of the experts are saying and admitting, if all the legal ballots are counted, Trump wins by a landslide. But there's so much voter fraud right now, so they say, that it looks like Biden's ahead, and really not by a lot. These states we're talking about, these 6 or 7 states, it's not a big margin. It's like barely in the lead. He barely came back from Trump, from behind Trump, and Trump has significant leads in most of these states. I mean, Georgia. You're telling me that Georgia's going blue? I don't believe it, especially for someone like Biden. Give me a break. We're gonna look here at what is this? Get out of here. I want to look at the map for some explanation here. I'll pull out the picture here. This is ABC News, which has been relatively fair. No new updates now, so we're good. Okay. All these states that I mentioned, so Nevada, Arizona are almost 90%, Georgia 98, North Carolina 95, Pennsylvania 93 now. Trump's still in the lead by about 100,000. Michigan, Biden's in the lead by 100,000. Wisconsin, these are 99% votes in, by the way. Biden only 20,000 in the lead in Wisconsin. Arizona, 70,000 Biden. Nevada, like, what is that? I can't do math. 12,000 maybe. So very, very close races. Keep in mind all these states that Trump won, he won them by a decent or significant margin. Only a few states that Biden won were, a big margin. Like New York. Trump in New York was doing, what is it? He had 40% of the vote. That's huge for New York. California, 33%. That's pretty much normal. Maine, Trump had 43%. New Hampshire, 45%. You have states like Vermont and, Massachusetts that he only has like 32%. Yeah. Virginia, too, was pretty close during the night, and then all of a sudden, Biden came back. That's another state I forgot to mention. They're looking into Virginia as well, because Trump was doing pretty good, and all of a sudden, Biden took a huge lead. And I wanted to show this right here. I wanted to talk about basically how well Trump did last night, because he was doing really well. If you look at it, state by state, if you look at it on a more local level, he was doing really good, breaking records and all this stuff. Broke records with minority voters and women voters all across the board. He was now the Republican with the most minority votes ever. So what are we looking at here? States that are, if you see on the ends here, I'll pull up a picture here for those of you can see. For those of you listening in audio, sorry, hopefully I explained it well enough. There are states that are considered solid Democrat and solid Republican. Basically, that means that these states are likely to go Republican, and most likely they're going to go heavy Republican or Democrat, vice versa. We look at the Democrat ones here. His average, Biden's average lead in these states, I will say, is about 60%. So 60-40 in these solid Democrat states. We have the lowest one I think I see on here is 54%, 53% lead. Minnesota, 53% lead. The highest one is Washington, D.C., which is 93. But other than Washington, D.C., I think the highest one that we can see here is 65% in multiple states. Go over to the Trump side of things. We see, I say an average of about, honestly, I think it's an average of about 63 or 65 percent when he's winning these states. Because there's the highest one, Wyoming, which is 70, 69 West Virginia, 65 Oklahoma, 64, 63, 62, 65 again, North Dakota. The lowest one we see is 57. 57 in 2 states. That's the lowest or the smallest margin when it comes to these 14 solid Republican races. So when it comes to races that were solid for that candidate, Trump overperformed on his side compared to Biden. Now we come into state races that are likely leaning Democrat versus likely leaning Republican. 9 Democrat, 8 Republican. On the Republican side, Alaska, Iowa, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, South Carolina, South Dakota, and Texas. Likely or leaning Republican. He won all of these. He's going to win Alaska. It's not official yet, but he is going to win Alaska. He won these. The smallest one is 52% win. The biggest one is 62%. That's in South Dakota. So he is winning all of those that were supposed to go to him, or likely. On the Democrat side, 9 states likely leaning Democrat: Arizona, Florida, Maine, Michigan, North Carolina, New Hampshire, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Officially, he has won 4 of those. You can argue Arizona would be 5. And one of those is Florida, which Trump has officially won. One of those is North Carolina, which Trump is currently winning. One of those is Pennsylvania, which Trump is currently winning. Arizona and Nevada could go either way. Still, after this whole voter fraud thing, Michigan and Wisconsin could go either way. So if you're looking at this graph here, if you can't see it, it's hard to visualize. But from what I'm saying too, Trump's reach, he got all the states he was expected to win, even the ones that he was likely to win. And so far, one toss-up, Ohio. And the other toss-up is Georgia. He's still winning that one. Most likely going to win that as long as there's no more voter fraud. He's creeping into the likely leaning Democrat states. He's got one, officially Florida. And he could potentially get 3, 4, or 5 more of those. Biden didn't get any of the states that were leaning or likely for Trump. So I just want to make that clear. Trump's performance on election night was really good. People believed that once those 7 states closed at the end of the night or early morning next day, Trump would win. However, the mail-in ballots came, the mail-in ballot dumps that were 100% Biden, or maybe even like there was one in Wisconsin that was 98%. At least they were trying to make it not as obvious. But Trump outperformed this election when it comes from state to state and which states he won. He did a really good job. And now we're in this mess here where we're trying to figure out what's going on. And the media is saying that Biden's probably going to win, most likely. They're saying, oh, Trump may still have a chance. But as these votes and the margins getting smaller and smaller, they're saying, oh, maybe not. All part of the plan. This is all unfolding right before our eyes. Stage 1 of my prediction is basically coming true. Now, of course, you can believe that this is all not true, but I mean, even if you're on the other side, most of the stuff that's happening, you have to admit, is true. The narrative, the talk about mail-in ballots, the voter fraud, all of this is coming up. At the very least, you could say it's being mentioned. Whether it's true or not, that's up to you to decide. Well, actually, it's up to the facts to decide. But if you want to believe it or not, that's up to you. But the fact that it's being talked about, all coming true. And now I think we're encroaching into the stage of riots. Riots are happening now in certain states. That's not being covered as much, but they're happening. And we're getting into that stage, the stage of riots and all that. I think once this fraud stuff gets more popular and President Trump and his team are, coming after it harder and harder, people are going to start getting pissed and saying, oh, he's trying to manipulate the election, all this and that. It's going to be a big mess. More riots and all that. So we're getting into that riot stage. We're getting into that stage 2, the violent stage. So watch out for that. And there's I want to talk about this theory, get a little more into the conspiracy side here. This is going to be a little interesting. There's a theory going around. It's from QAnon, so we know they're not, super official or anything, but there's a lot of stuff they've said that's right. So, and this is a conspiracy theory. This is not 100% true. This isn't factual. As we know, this is a theory. The theory is that President Trump and working with the Department of Homeland Security has embedded a non-radioactive isotope in the mail-in ballots. Basically what that means is that it's an invisible watermark. So the official mail-in ballots have a watermark that shows they're official. So any other mail-in ballots that aren't official that have been printed will not have this watermark. So what they can do, if this was true, what they can do is go in to these states where there's potential fraud, pull up all those ballots, and scan them for this watermark. If they have the watermark, it's an official ballot. If they don't have the watermark, it's not. This is assuming the theory is correct. But what is true, because they're saying this all happened after he appointed a new postmaster general in June. And June 15th, he appointed a new postmaster general who happens to be a Trump supporter. He's donated to the Trump campaign. He is an outsider, and he's an ally of Trump overall. So their theory is that he put this guy in, appointed this guy, and let me pull up the article here so I can read it. He appoints this guy. What's his name? Come on, get out of here. Louis DeJoy, the 75th Postmaster General, on June 15th. So he appointed this guy, an ally of Trump, an outsider, to be the Postmaster General. And what QAnon is claiming or theorizing here is that Donald Trump, in collusion with the Department of Homeland Security and the new Postmaster, have made a new system where these official mail-in ballots have a watermark that allows them to tell if it's real or not. So this will help the effort in determining if these votes are legit or not. The next step of that, assuming all that was true, the next step would be to, take all those ballots and look at if these people are registered voters in that county and if they're still alive or old enough or whatever. You got people, 119-year-olds voting. No, they're not 119. They're dead. People that are dead, people that don't live in that county, whatever. There were, in I think 8 or 9 states, voting was above 100% the registered number. Meaning, let's say there's 1 million registered voters in Georgia. There was 1,100,000 votes total in Georgia. That's just that's just an example. I'm gonna pull that up here actually to give you the exact states of where that happened. Nevada, voter turnout 125%. Pennsylvania, 109%. Minnesota, 107%. North Carolina, 106%. Wisconsin, 105%. Michigan, also 105%. Arizona, 101%. These numbers, of course, may vary, but the fact that, and this is real clear politics, a credible source. This isn't some Yahoo off the internet. And we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. I mean, what the official tally is, but I personally believe there's voter fraud. I was skeptical of it before. Now we're seeing something that possibly is greater than anyone expected. To add on to this QAnon theory, they're saying that basically, listen, Trump has been saying this stuff for months. He's been saying that there's voter fraud and that they're going to try and steal the election. He's been saying this for months. And people, oh, that's just what he's going to do. If he loses, he'll just, pull that card. But he's been talking about this for a while. So QAnon believes this was a sting operation, basically, by Trump. That he intentionally did this knowing that he would catch the Democrats cheating and committing voter fraud in collusion with the Department of Homeland Security. And that basically they set him up. They wanted to see like how far would they go. And then they can expose them and arrest them. That's the theory. So again, this is not all true. This isn't proven. It's a theory. But it's a very interesting theory in my opinion. And let's see here. At the end of the day, I mean, we don't really know what's going on right now. We have theories. We have we have an amount of facts that, is all spread out and witnesses and all this and that. And we don't really know what's going on, but I feel like it's going to come together soon. Another thing to note, the deadline to confirm all of the ballots is December 8th. So Trump and his team have until December 8th to prove that there was voter fraud. And again, let's say they call Biden the winner at some point between now and December 8th. It doesn't matter. It's not official until December 14th when the electors cast their vote for the candidate. So those for those of you that don't understand, the electoral votes that you get per state. Alaska, for example, has 3. There's 3 electors that have to go and cast their vote officially for, let's say, Donald Trump, if he wins Alaska. They go and cast their vote for Donald Trump. And not suggesting anything, but these electors are inclined to, let's say that state goes to Trump, they vote for Trump. Traditionally, they vote wherever the people say, because if not, it looks bad on them. It could be a mess. So nothing is official. The bottom line of that is nothing's official until the electors cast their votes on December 14th. You have a deadline of December 8th to straight out the voting, and a deadline, well, not a deadline, but on the 14th of December is when they cast their vote and make everything official. That's basically just the system in place that makes everything official. So nothing's official until then. And then, of course, Inauguration Day is the 20th. So we're going to see a lot happen between now and December 8th. We're going to see a lot happen between now and January 20th, Inauguration Day. A lot happening. A lot of late nights for me. I don't know if you can tell. But been some crazy stuff going on. It's going to continue to get crazy, I think. But in the end, we will know the truth, okay? At the end of the day, it's going to be official. We're going to know what's going on. And hopefully, with minimal casualties. But we're entering into the stage of riots and craziness shortly after this election stuff is starting to get squared away. We're going to see, again, some Democrats going underground. And eventually, when everything is set in stone, we're going to see some arrests be made. I'm still calling it, guys. Go back and rewatch that video. the last episode. Let me know what I got right so far, and look out for what may come true. But anyway, that's the first update I got for you, the first election update 2020. But thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Gonzo Tonight Show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can stay updated with when we upload new episodes. Follow us on social media at Gonzo Tonight, and support the page at buymeacoffee.com/Gonzo. You can also participate in the contest to win a t-shirt. When you donate a coffee, you get entered automatically, so don't worry about that. Support the show, buy some merch, teespring.com/stores/Gonzo Tonight. And again, thank you for watching the live stream. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all the support that you've given over the past year. And I'll bring more updates soon. Until then, take care, guys.